We shall discuss the advantages and disadvantages of these bolted joints. So we have discussed already, there are so many number of joints. So out of those, why should we select the bolted joints? In what circumstances we have to choose this? And what are the advantages of these joints and what are the limitations that we are going to discuss? So first of all, let us discuss the advantages. So these bolted joints are the most reliable joints. Reliable means, I should have explained. The most reliable, nammadaginivi. So once if you made a joint with a bolted joint, you can rely that this joint will not separate unless you do it. This joint cannot be separated unless you do it. So this joint cannot be separated by itself. You have to separate it. So that's why it is a reliable joint, and it is also easy to make this joint. So with less effort, you can make this joint. So if you want to make a riveted joint, it needs huge effort because you have to use heavy pressure by using hammer, or sometimes power hammers are to be used. But here, in order to use this joint, simply you have to insert the bolt into the hole, and from the other end you have to tighten the nut, and the tightening of nut can be done by simple spanner. So that's why it is easy to make this joint. So this is the first advantage. And for example, if a joint is made in a machine which consists of lot of vibrations, then you may suspect that due to vibration the nut may be loosened. So in such cases also we have the alternative of the locking devices. There are number of locking devices which are used to lock the joint. Once you have tightened the nut, then there will be a locking device like pin. So there will be a hole in the bolt like this. So if this is the bolt, there will be a hole here, and there is a pin which is inserted. So this pin has to be inserted after tightening the nut only, remember that. So even though the joint, the nut is loosened, it will not go out of the bolt because of the lock. So this type of locking arrangement you can see in the fans. Okay. So there are number of locking arrangements for the bolted joints. So this is another advantage. Okay. And the next advantage is they are standardized. So the second advantage is number of locking devices. And the next one is standardization. Standardization in the sense, the bolts are manufactured, bolts or nuts, they are manufactured in standard sizes. So for example, you are using a machine which consists of an 8 mm bolt, and that bolt has been broken, and simply you can go to the market and bring the 8 mm bolt. You need not contact the supplier of the machine because that is a standard component. You can get it from anywhere. Our mobile phone battery, is it a standard component? No. If the battery is damaged, then you have to contact the supplier, you have to contact the company. Previously we used to have standard batteries, but there was safety issues, and that's why there is no standardization right now in the batteries. But here in this case, even though one bolt is failed, which was provided by the company, we can directly purchase the bolt from the market and use it here. So that is standardization. Okay. And the next one is, if you want to separate the joint, it is very easy for us to separate. What you have to do is, simply you have to remove the nut and remove the bolt, that's all. The joint is separated. If you have any locking device, you have to remove that locking device first, then nut, then bolt. Over. So that is ease of separation. Ease of separation. So this is an advantage of bolted joint. But if you use any other joint like a welded joint or riveted joint, it is not possible to separate the joints easily. Is it right or not? Yes. Lalit? Okay. Well, now coming on to the disadvantages. Okay. So here it is not no locking device, it is number of locking devices. Okay, and this is an advantage and this is also a disadvantage, especially in vibrating environments, in vibrating machines. If you use these bolted joints, even though if you have tightened it very huge effort, then also due to the vibrations the nut may be loosened. So in such cases you have to go for separate locking system. Okay, so separate locking system is required. So that is one of the disadvantages. Okay, and the next disadvantage is, in order to make the joint, you have to drill the hole in the element to be joined. So in order to insert the bolt, there should be some hole. So those, for example, if you take this, if I want to join this with some with plate, then I have to make a hole on this plate as well as on this member also. So making holes will weaken the members, will reduce the strength of the members. So strength of the member is high when it is solid, but when there are certain holes, obviously it is weak. So this is another disadvantage. So holes make the member weak. So these are all the advantages and disadvantages of the bolted joints. Okay, note it down.